please stop listening or reading everything you see online in crypto. Most of this stuff is designed to get your attention, first of all. Most of it is designed to incite an emotion from you. Fear or FOMO, usually designed to pull the market in the direction of the whales. Most of the time, influencers are guilty of this because we have to get clicks. We don't get clicks, we don't get money. We don't get money, we can't make frequent videos. It's as simple as that. So all I'm trying to say here is that watch videos, read articles, but make sure you're making an objective opinion. Now, the reason I say this today, ladies and gentlemen, is simply because what's being shoved in front of our faces is completely contrary from likely what's going on underneath the surface. Now, today, I'm not going to convince you of this point. I want to show you some important information I have not yet discussed on this channel. An event coming up here very soon that will inject billions of dollars, yes, billions, into the market. And I can bet my bottom dollar right now, in 4 months' time, given the US elections don't screw us over, we will all be looking back on this and saying, oh, we were panicking for no reason. It was obvious. It's always obvious in retrospect, but the writing is nonetheless on the walls. You just have to be wide enough awake to see it. So first of all, don't forget, hit that like button and subscribe for more daily crypto alpha, and let's get into it. So first of all, the fear and greed index right now is low. Now, the reason I mention this is because this is a gauge into the sentiment we're all feeling. Now, obviously, as prices come down, this gets lower and lower. It's actually at 22 yesterday, but believe it or not, a week ago, it was in the mid-40s. Actually, 48 was even last month, neutral. So we've been trending sideways, but this is by far and away the lowest we've been so far. And it's interesting because I compare this cycle to the last two cycles. The last cycle we just had being 2022 in green, and the one before that in 2018 in blue. And we're on track, guys. Look, let's just zoom out for a second here, okay? We can see we're in black right now. If I kind of do my best to zoom in, I know you guys always complain about you can't see this, understandably so, but we actually were well and truly ahead of where we needed to be in about, let's say, October, November, December of last year, okay? Basically, when we had this massive pump up. When we had this pump up in the last two previous cycles, comparably, we were down, right? We were either down from the big C word or we were just moving sideways. We had a pump in 2018 not long after, but for the most part, notice that we've pretty much been moving sideways in all the previous cycles. Look, I'll zoom in even closer, all right? We've been moving sideways. Matter of fact, we're still over, I'll zoom in even closer, where we were in 2022. 2018, we were slightly higher in terms of percentage. We're talking negligible amounts, 50% more, which back then was negligible, okay? Still kind of is. So needless to say, after the next, let's say 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, we began moving up and up and up and up. The fun hasn't yet started, and I think this is best reflected when we have a look at this chart. Everyone's beating in your brain right now, right? They're shoving it in your face. September is usually a bearish month for Bitcoin returns. Almost always. But overall, quarter four, October, November, December, is a very bullish month, right? Usually in a bull run, this is a good turning point, which can further be coupled with the fact that the US elections, again, not getting political, but if Trump wins, this is going to be monumental for the price of Bitcoin, pushing us into, I believe, a very, very bullish quarter one as well next year. You can see quarter one is typically very bullish in bull runs as well. So quarter one and quarter four of this year could be massive. All right, we're just there. We're just freaking out because we think that we're supposed to be ahead of ourselves, not remembering that we actually had this initial pump up a little too early. We had that all-time high too soon, and we've been trending sideways / a little bit down, if you want to kind of get cynical here, the last month or two. But ultimately, it's still sideways, I think, overall. All right. Now, we've got some massive news as well. This is the main premise of this video, guys. You have to remember these macro catalysts that are still to come up. Now, I'll get into the ins and outs of this momentarily here, but summary, in basic, FTX is looking to reimburse everyone that lost money in the collapse of their exchange, plus interest. Now, we'll get into the nuances of it all, but this sheet here just shows you about $16 billion in cash right now. In cash, not in crypto. I mean, technically USDT, right? Stable coins, but not assets. And this will allow people to ideally put money back into crypto. Okay, so let's read a bit about it. We can see here that most customers are on track to get their full money back, plus 9% interest for all the trouble, which isn't amazing, but is better than nothing. For those with smaller claims under $50,000, so if you lost under 50K in this debacle, the process is going to be quite quick, with most, 98% of the customers of FTX, likely to see their full repayment within 60 days after the court approval. If you had larger than that, right, they're expected to be rolling out sometime late 2024 or early 2025, which would also coincide with those massive bullish quarters I was talking about moments ago. Now, this report also goes on to say the bankruptcy court has scheduled a hearing on the matter for October 7th. Why? Well, of course, in usual fashion, the SEC isn't making this an easy process. They're saying that, hey, we don't like that you guys are giving back people money in USDT or basically a form of crypto. So really, in a way, they're just trying to delay the process. But ultimately, this should be fine because it's not going to be in kind, meaning that it's not going to be given back to investors with the crypto. It's going to be given back in a form of dollar, right? A very stable asset. Now, the impact this will have will be quite significant on stablecoins, of course, if it already isn't considered into this mix. Obviously, people will likely choose to put money back into crypto and hold stablecoins sometimes at that. So this is quite a good sign to see. And I think it's a little bit funny, again, going back to some of the people saying just a few months ago that stablecoins weren't really increasing all that much. And how is all these new coins going to sort of be able to have money invested in them? How are we going to all succeed and flourish? There's 2.4 million altcoins out there with such a small amount of stable coins. But like I said, guys, you have to remember, when these people get their money back from this FTX thing, right, they're going to look to put money into coins that have been proven to be successful in this bull run so far. The likes of Render, ICP, Solana, Chainlink, Near Protocol, all the rest of them. They're not looking at the, let's just say 2.45999 million other altcoins out there driving right down that list. They're not. They're going to be centralized at max at the top 1,000, usually even within the top 200. So that's why on this channel, we look for promising altcoins based on pumpamentals to invest in, likely to draw attention from situations like this, when these guys are pissed and they want to put money into quality coins because they're not going to make a bad mistake. They have to make up for the money they've lost recently. And the reason I say the money that they've lost recently is because ultimately payments are going to reflect the price of the currencies in 2022, which is obviously less than the price they are right now. Like this quote down here from a Redditor says, if you had Bitcoin at the time of the collapse worth 16K, you're not going to be compensated for 62K or whatever it is, 54K at the current price. It's going to be worth 16K plus a bit of interest, okay? So yes, we may on one hand have a situation where the people getting these tokens back, this USDT, might say, hey, screw crypto. I've got real life stuff to deal with here. I'm going to put my money elsewhere and get out of the market. But of course, a lot of these people might also think, I've just lost a whole bunch of money in the interim. Like I said, Bitcoin being 16K, now at like 54K. I've got to make up for this in quality altcoins that have been proven in the bull run, which are the ones we talk about on the channel, by the way, so make sure you're subscribed. And I think this is very important when we assess things like what the overall altcoin market is doing right now, because charts like this indicate, and by the way, guys, I've been showing you this chart here for months now, saying, hey, altcoins are a great time to DCA, of course, all with non-financial advice attached. We're now above the green line, which means sell your house, buy altcoins. Now, Bitcoin is the only asset, looking at this chart here, that's ever been beneath this line, okay? Alts have never actually gone beneath this before, and I think just in time for this massively bearish month of September to finalize, and then we move into a much more bullish quarter and hopefully quarter one as well. Like I said on a previous video yesterday, these highs, local highs and local lows tend to move pretty similarly over the last 4.5 years, since about mid-2019. We pretty much have an average, this isn't weekly by the way, on Bitcoin's price here, I guess a kind of high and low, local high, local low of about 28 weeks. Now, we are about 25 weeks in right now from the last local high, and while we do have obviously the current local low being down here at about 21 weeks, it wouldn't fall in line with the average we've seen over the last 4.5 years. So given the fact that the average here is 28 weeks, like I said, this actually pulls us down to 23rd of September, give or take some. It could go up to 32, or is down as far as what we've seen already, 24 weeks. This is sort of the high, low, and average. So again, this would fall in line with a very bearish September, which is why I'm also bullish for, the weeks following end of September, basically at the same time. Now, long-term holders are actually increasing their Bitcoin holdings. We see that long-term holders begin accumulating Bitcoin when the price is going to get better. Essentially, to cut a long story short, they tend to sell when prices begin going a little overextended, whereas the contrary applies to short-term holders here in these darker colors. These guys tend to buy up the Bitcoin supply towards the highs or towards the peaks where they kind of are incentivized to by YouTube videos and by articles saying, hey, we're going to go up even more and more and more. The bull run's going crazy. Whereas those long-term holders sell at those points to the short-term holders. So it is good to see these guys buying, because if they were sharply selling like over here, that indicates maybe we are pushing towards highs, essentially. Now, one final caveat to all this, and I will mention this as well, like I did on last night's video, is that Mark Cuban has warned Kamala Harris's unrealized gains tax will kill the stock market. If you missed last night's video, I made a mention of this. It won't just kill the stock market, it'll kill crypto as well. In this article, he talks about IPOs, okay? He talks about companies not wanting to go public in that sense, and that's a whole different side of the story. But what I wanted to rehash here was, if this does come true, we're not going to have as much, I guess, large and institutional money come through the door, because people are going to be too concerned with having to pay back all that tax. Now, like I said, I don't think this will actually happen, even if she does win. Again, I'm not getting political here. It's going to be bad for crypto. They're pretty anti-crypto as is. But of course, even just the idea of this possibly happening will likely cause a bit of stir in the market and markets more broadly, until it's either hopefully denied or at worst approved, which might make it a whole lot worse. We're talking too far in the future here. I mean, it is about a quarter away, but again, this is so up in the air right now. I don't want to really throw it into the mix of things we're currently dealing with, but I hope you guys have understood in this case, you can't believe everything you're seeing on a surface level. Ultimately, this is all designed to incite that sort of maximized fear or FOMO to make you want to buy or sell more, and therefore the underlying narrative plays out and you end up disadvantaged. So play your cards right, guys. Make sure, again, you're subscribed, because you're only going to really make sure you're in the best position possible by assessing the right, I guess, places, right? To make sure you're in the right spots. So that's, of course, here on the channel and in the private community. Links, of course, down below. Talk to you all soon. I'm off to the gym. Take good care. Bye-bye.